prepare about 1.5 to maybe 2 pounds of fresh hamburger meat. And sometimes I buy the 90-10, sometimes I buy the 80-20, sometimes I buy the 73, and you know, it just kind of depends upon what's on sale. The 80-20 does have more fat, and so it's a little bit more flavorful, but if you're worried about how much fat is in your meat, then I do suggest the 90-10 or the 95-5. So anyway, so we're gonna put this in a slow cooker. So here's my slow cooker. It's a GE 3-quart oval slow cooker. GE is not sponsoring this. I don't have any sponsors yet. But it doesn't really matter what brand you use. Now, depending upon when we want to eat this, I might put it on low or I might put it on high. What I have found is that my slow cooker actually cooks pretty quickly. And if I want to cook slow, then I definitely have to put it on low. I know that rhymes. And if I want it cooked fairly quickly, then I put it on high. When I was in college, I had a very small dorm room, and I didn't always want to go to the dorm to eat. The dorm cafeteria to eat. I would sometimes just put spaghetti, sauce, and meat, and everything I need to make spaghetti sauce with meat into my slow cooker, and I'd come back and my spaghetti was done an hour later, and I would also put water in there for the noodles, and it was done. So I might do that at like 10 o'clock, you know, or rather I left for class at 10 o'clock. I got back at noon and my spaghetti was done. And when you're a busy college student and you need to make a meal inexpensively, and you only have a small refrigerator, and you know, you're on a budget and you just need something to be made quickly, then a slow cooker is a really good choice. So I remember those days using this, and I bought this specifically for my dorm. And I cooked a lot of meals in this thing, and saved me a lot of money, and saved me time. But I could count on the thing cooking me a full meal in an hour. And my suite mate, we had different dorm rooms, but we were connected by a bathroom, who's still one of my very closest friends, Jill. She would come over, or I would bring food over to her, because she has a physical disability, so she can't really walk very well. So sometimes she would come over when she wanted to get out of her room, or sometimes I'd go over there. But anyway, so this thing cooks really quickly, and I have a lot of fond memories of it. So you're going to place all of your ingredients in there, and you're going to put in a little bit of water so that you have some moisture for your chili, and it's going to cook. So let's get to it. So you're going to take all of your hamburger, put it into your slow cooker. Yeah, there's a little bit of blood. I defrosted this, and you can use any sort of thing you want, a hot implement to break it up. Just get a spoon and just start breaking it up. And now, because it doesn't have that much it doesn't have that much fat, it won't break up into very small chunks when you are trying to break it up to cook, but that's okay. And it looks like it's getting there. All right, that's pretty well done. I'll show you what it looks like inside. And next, I'm going to add my onion. And I chopped up my onion. I have this little device that I bought. It's really, it's helped me a lot to be able to cut things fairly quickly. You have to slice it first, but if you want nice, neat chunks, this does the trick. And honestly, I don't remember what it's called, but it's manual. So if you don't want to spend extra money on appliances, then, well, this is a good thing to get. So anyway, I'm just gonna put that, and this is a half an onion. So, and I'm going to want to put in garlic. Now I buy already chopped garlic that's preserved in water, and you can do garlic any way you want. If you want to use garlic powder, that works perfectly fine. I started using this a long time ago. Well, actually my mother did, and I thought it was a great idea. And so when I moved out on to my own, I began using it. And it's a lot easier than having to chop up your garlic. And it's fresh. It preserves well in the water. You just keep it in your fridge, that's all. And I buy the big one. And Spice World is not sponsoring this. This is just a brand. There are a few brands out there, and I just go with what's the cheapest and the same quality. So I'm going to use 1 tablespoon. Actually, I take it back. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons. Now, if you don't like as much garlic as I do, then you're going to want to use 1 tablespoon. But if you like garlic like I do, then you're going to want to use 2 of them. So here we go. And we can't forget about the spices. Gotta put the spices on. In, not on. Okay, here we go. Here are the 3 different spices that I'm using. I'm using a half of a tablespoon of chili powder, and this is just a store brand chili powder. I don't know if there's any kind that works better. This is cumin. Now this is actually organic cumin, and cumin is a spice. It comes primarily from India, and it is what gives chili its really distinctive taste. And this is an 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper, and I'm gonna put these in here. We're gonna put the chili powder in there first. And no, I haven't stirred it up yet. That's okay. We're gonna put in the cumin, and we're gonna put in the pepper. Now you'll notice that there's no salt, and I'm very sensitive to salt. It gives me really bad headaches, and so I don't want to have a lot of salt. Just a few crumbs of spice. So the next thing, I'm going to open up these diced tomatoes that are going to go inside. And this is just great value. It's a Walmart brand, and it works really well. And it has a pop top, which is, pop tops are awesome. So I'm just gonna pop the top. There you go. And you're going to put all of the tomatoes and the water into your chili before it's cooked. There we go. Now, not quite enough. Not all the way. So we're going to use this to get all of that in there. All those yummy tomatoes. And what about the beans? Well, I hate to have to tell the bean lovers, but real chili does not have beans in it. There are Texans I know who put chili in their beans, and well, that's almost a sacrilege. I'm just kidding. Look, if you like chili in your beans, that's fine. But real Texas chili, and chili was invented here in Texas before Texas was even a state, when it was Tejas. It doesn't have beans in it. But you can put beans if you want, and you can put any kind of beans you want. It does not matter. People who put in beans often put in red beans or pinto beans. And that tastes nice. I have had chili with beans before, and it tasted just fine. Now, if I were going to put chili in my beans, beans in my chili. If I were going to put beans in my chili, I would probably go with frijoles negros or black beans, because I happen to like black beans better. And I'm allergic to red beans. I can have them, but they just make me itch and make my nose run terribly. But I'm going to get my spoon and I'm going to stir this up. Okay, so we're going to give this a good stir. Might need to put more water in here, but remember that the onions will begin to soften and release some of their water. Onions do have water in them, and the tomatoes will have water in them. Fried tomatoes are so juicy. And I'm hoping in about an hour, this chili will be completely cooked. It will be delicious. That's fairly well mixed. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put the lid on it and turn it on, and I'm going to let it begin to cook and see if I need to put in any more water. And your chili can be as liquidy as you want. Chili is sort of a meat stew, and you know, different people like different amounts of water in it, and different people like beans in it. And what about vegetarian chili? Well, I'm sorry, but vegetarian chili is just beans. Sorry for all you vegetarians and vegans out there. But if you wanted to take out the meat, or, well, I mean, don't put it in, and you wanted to put in beans, put in any kind of beans that you want. You can cook the beans from scratch. You can put a can of beans in there. I'm not good at cooking beans, so I just use beans from scratch when I make anything with beans. And beans are delicious, and they are, they're fairly high in protein, although they do have more carbohydrates than they do protein. So just keep that in mind. If you're on a low carb diet, such as keto or paleo, or if you're trying to control your carbs for some other reason, and you know, so you could think about that. I have known people who put tofu in chili, and I tried it. I did not like it, but I only like fried tofu. I don't really like steamed tofu or pan-cooked tofu. I only like fried tofu. Fried tofu is delicious, but just my personal opinion, and unless you really like tofu and you're going to fry it, and you want to make vegan or vegetarian chili, then well, okay, you could do that and put in beans, and then you would use just the same spices. So you would use the cumin, the chili powder, the pepper, and if you want salt, go ahead and put salt in there. I just don't put any salt because there's enough salt in the canned tomatoes, and you can use fresh tomatoes, and that really is probably the better way to go. I didn't do that because what I usually use are little cherry tomatoes, because I often use my tomatoes for salads, and I find that they're actually just a lot easier to be able to fix and to pop into things that I want, and I don't really have to cut them that way. But if I were going to use fresh tomatoes, I would probably get a combination of those great big beef tomatoes that they call. I don't know why they call them beef tomatoes, but you know, the ones that you often see for hamburgers. And I'd probably get some of the smaller Roma tomatoes. Those are really delicious. The little grape tomatoes that I get, or the small little heirloom tomatoes that I get, I find those are really delicious too. So that's what I would probably do if I were going to have fresh tomatoes. But I've always had good luck with canned tomatoes, and it adds just a little bit of salt that you might want to have. And if you don't want any salt, then, well, I would suggest just using fresh tomatoes and not putting any salt whatsoever in your food if you cannot have salt, or if you're watching your salt intake, then that's what I would suggest. So let's turn this, let's turn it on and we'll put on the lid. So we're going to turn this on right now on low, okay, and we're going to give it probably about 15 minutes, and then the lid is going to begin to have a little bit of steam. Got to put the lid on straight, and then you'll begin to see how it is cooking, and then I'll show it to you. So the chili is cooking. I did add more water in it, about half of a cup, and I'll pull this a little closer so you can see a little bit better. Sorry, I don't have any rollers for this. Anyway, so the chili is cooking quite well, and I've turned it on high. I like for it to be done sooner. Sorry, sorry, I didn't mean to tilt the camera. I always hate it when films do that. You know, I actually considered going to film school for a while, and so I read up a lot about filming and writing, and writing a film, I mean, and about what kinds of cameras you need, etc. And one of the things that I learned about that was, you know, how cinematographers, they use cameras for different angles. And when people tilt the camera like this, I don't know if you can really tell. Anyway, I always respond with, "Oh look, I went to film school." I'm sorry, I just think that it's kind of silly. I just don't really think that you need to do that unless you're trying to express like a particular thing. Like if a person is hanging upside down and you want to show that perspective, what it's like to look at things upside down, then when people are just walking upright and people tilt the camera like this, I think it's unnecessary, distracting. So enough of that, and I'm going to be making cornbread. And so we have a lot of our ingredients here, and I'll be back with that in just a second. So first we're going to combine the dry ingredients. And we're going to put in our cornmeal, our flour, and I have pre-sifted this, although there might still be a few lumps. Our baking powder, our sugar, and the honey we're going to put in towards the end. And let's just give this all a nice stir. And this time I am putting in a little bit of salt. So I'm just going to put in a very small amount of salt. So I'm putting in a couple pinches of salt. 3 to be exact. Not a lot, so it's not enough to really aggravate my headaches, but it will work. I have a very nice marble salt shaker. I got that. It actually wasn't expensive. You'd think that these would be like $50 to $100, and no, it was more like about 10. I got a pretty marble salt shaker, and I got a gray marble pepper shaker. And I got them for about $10 together, not a piece. Okay, so I'm going to put this on top. It's going to go in there. It's going to be at 425. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to cook it for 20 to 25 minutes. And I'm going to set my timer, and in about 20 to 25 minutes, we should have cornbread. Hopefully it's delicious. So the cornbread is done, and it's right here. I managed to flip it over, but I couldn't really do it very well on camera. So here it is. It's on a plate now, and I had a little taste, but I'll take another little piece right here. That is corn goodness. Corn, by the way, is my favorite vegetable. I could eat corn literally every day of my life and not get tired of it. I adore corn. So cornbread is delicious for me. Corn pudding. One of my sisters, she used to make a corn souffle at Christmas time and also at Thanksgiving. And I like to have corn at Thanksgiving because, well, the Native Americans taught the settlers how to grow corn. And I don't know if corn was actually served at the first Thanksgiving. Apparently the first Thanksgiving didn't have a lot of the things that we have now, except for turkeys. But I like to have corn because of that, and because I just love corn. This cornbread is really delicious, and it's buttery. Now you don't have, you're tasting the butter, but it's not liquid butter. But it tastes buttery. It's light. It's very flaky. I've really never known a cornbread that doesn't crumble. And that's one of the things that, I like about cornbread is that it crumbles. And this one has risen pretty well. That's about the thickness of a cake. One cake layer. A single cake layer. And some people even refer to cornbread as corn cakes. So that is the cornbread. Now our chili is also done too, and I'm gonna let my boyfriend, who's supposed to be coming over, I'm gonna let him taste the chili and the cornbread and see how he likes it. Now he's getting here a little bit late, but that's okay. He's taping the game at his place, and that's okay. We're gonna watch it together, but I'm not really a football fan. But ironically, he always calls and asks who I think is gonna win for the Super Bowl, major football games, baseball games, boxing, basketball, and I tend to pick the winners. And I don't watch these sports except for baseball. I like baseball, but you know, I only watch like the last 3 games of baseball because I like it, but I don't like it that much. It's not like gymnastics or ice skating in the Olympics where I have to watch everyone, you know. But I don't know why I pick the winners, and I'm not bragging. It's kind of bizarre. How does someone who pays no attention to any of these things manage to pick the right teams? I have no idea, but I do know if these were stocks, I'd be rich. So, and I'm not rich at all. But anyway, so I'm gonna let my boyfriend taste the chili and the cornbread and see what he thinks. Maybe he gives it a thumbs up, or maybe he gives it a thumbs down. Yeah, who knows? He's not terribly a picky eater. So anyway, we'll wait till he gets here. So tell me how you like it.
Well, I mixed some cornbread that you made into the chili.
Okay.
Oh.
Let's get a close-up on that cornbread and chili. Well, I'm glad you like it.
Delicious.
Oh, thumbs up, huh?
This is good.
Okay, thank you.